Hello, you're in the shithole with Todd Giffen. And recording in black. There shouldn't be. Oh, yeah, there is a light over there. So, Mr. Russell Tice was talking about, hey, what do they do with surveillance? Well, they listen to people for long periods of time. Not just listen, they spy on them through means of satellite, telephone, internet, automated fashion. There's a database. The computer system just acts as a memory for all this information. So that, in a particle physics world, things dissipate and there's no memory of it afterwards, except in the original matter itself. So, in the universe, matter is memory, and matter is moved around. It's moved around, and it's permanent, and that's a memory state. So, now certain things are very hard for there to be a memory of, electronic things or light emissions, or if I move from one point to another, there's no memory of me being at the previous point, except in my mind, which my mind's a universe in a universe, so that's not. But if you look at the original area, is there like memory of me being there, or anyone else? No, not usually. Sometimes there's footprints in the ground, and that's a type of memory. With their fucking technology, though, they've added on a whole brain to the fucking world. And this thing is recording images, satellites, radar signals, holographic surveillance of the entire planet, where everything is down to the moment, everywhere. Brain waves can be tapped too, so they're tapping your brain for your memory. Your brain is storing everything for them, everywhere, everything. And then you have telephone communications, internet communications on top of all that. And so they've added on a memory system to the telephone system, records every call, 100%, not just metadata. Metadata as well as, extra information that you didn't even know was there, like position of where you're at and position where your devices are at. But they've also got the ability to physically see where you're at. So they're watching you from wherever, space, radar. And so they can tell where you're at, and they know what time of day you're there, and where you went in that place, and then when you left the place, what time that was, and where you went there. And they know all your friends. They know who your associates are. Okay? A lot of different layers of how they get all this. They can go right into your brain if they really want to know if you killed somebody. Right now, though, there is no way for them to use that in court unless it's covertly done. So they'll use it in court, and it's not really put out there for the jury to hear of your defense attorney. But everybody knows. And it's all in secret. And your attorney might even know. The public defenders are actually part of the federal system. In the state systems, they're paid. And there's up in Oregon, it's called Public Defender Services. It's actually a state branch. It's just like, instead of district attorney's office, it's public defender's office. Both receive money from the state to do this. Guess what? Those public defenders up in Oregon know all about the surveillance methods. And that information is not secret to them. And so they might choose to let you die simply, and to refuse to defend you simply because they don't want to help you. They don't want to expose you. It could just be that they're not willing to go against the state at all, and they won't expose any part of this elaborate system of spying and covert relationships going on. They're not there for you. They're there to push a case through the court system for the state, so that your case is taken off the table at some point, and it's done. Even if it results in your false conviction. That's fucking crazy, amazing, isn't it? Some of these attorneys, because they go back and forth between state positions, public defender positions, They all know and what's going on. And so what happens is they're really protecting themselves. They got their self-interest and their friends' interest. So if they know that there's a weapon being used to attack civilians and it's being used to spy on them, do you think they're going to defend you if you go and complain to them that it's happening? No, they're not going to. So, but this system of surveillance is more than just learning how to control people, as Russell Tice had said. It's also being done for population control, according to Bill Binney. But what is population control? People are not touching on what the significance of all this is. And there's evidence all over the internet of this. The surveillance system has been around for decades. It's been operating covertly under different methods. The military can set up anything they want on this planet and run it, for example. And there doesn't have to be a program of Congress approving of its use. There does not have to be any public approval. And the public approval is the most important thing. If the public doesn't get a say in any of it, it gets set up and it's being ran. And once it's set up, it's too late. And they can gain power so amazing, like what they've done. They have the ability to kill people remotely too. They're only using it selectively. They're not just going out and killing top people. They're targeting people that are activists, people that are trouble, whistleblowers, people who are vulnerable, people that they know that they could target and get away with. There's something called criminal surveillance, and that's something that never gets touched on. Criminal surveillance and criminal targeting. So what they're doing with their surveillance is learning specifically how to target a person and know everything about them down to the second. Have that person have no way to stop it. Then kill them, stalk them, take life and limb, torture them, do psychological warfare specifically to them or their friends or family. There are things that happen sometimes in our society that's so big that they can gain the authority to do whatever to cover it up. And it would normally be something that people would be convicted for. You would have people commit a crime so great in our society, like attempting to kill an American with directed energy or using radar signals to imping their body or torturing them for long periods of time, or some illegal surveillance operation gets recorded and caught on tape somewhere. And this is, well, they're trying to spin this off as some official thing for only criminal fighting and terrorist fighting, when it's all actually being done in a covert, deceptive, murderous way against everybody. And it's one of their ways of keeping power in the country, even though they've committed so many crimes in the past, right? So, in my case, they targeted me to kill me, right? And they tortured me with directed energy. Started in 2008. U.S. Department of Justice was there spying on me. And this technology was all over this place, called the Oregon State Hospital. And everyone was being spied on. Everybody except for the staff. The staff had knowledge of it the whole time. They, I guess all their crimes had been forgiven. No one cared about what their crimes were. And it was a way of them covering it all up. I guess it would be too big of a blow to have anyone find out about everything that was happening at that place. And staff would make use of this surveillance technology, communicating through it, and then also trying to kill me, and then targeting and abusing me. And there's proof of it. There's security cameras and audio microphones that were recording all this when it happened. And there's records that are gonna be, you can just prove a lot of the records by just taking a look at what is in the record. And looking at pictures of my assault, looking at things that happened that were so obvious, and you find that nothing was being done correctly at any point in time for many years, going back to 2004, 2006, especially 2005. I was supposed to get out in 2006 as a paper. People out in the community were informed of my release coming up too, and yet nobody checks in on me because of Bonnie Tucker and the sexual abuse and the cover-up. Outside agencies would be involved, including Lane County, where I was supposed to go back to. They all got together, and they all knew what was happening at the hospital. It's just this huge conspiracy of shit. And when I was doing legal things, everyone was worried I was going to expose all this shit, including my innocence and how I was not even guilty of my original crime while I was there. And that goes back to the district attorneys, and also the surveillance at the hospital would have been with knowledge, with the district attorneys knowing about this, as they're falsely prosecuting Bonnie Tucker and hiding my case due to state's lack of liability insurance and all that. They can do amazing things when they know everything and they have surveillance. And then the outsiders who are truly outsiders, you know, like you might have a reporter or somebody, they're spying on the reporter. I mean, all you had to do really to be on the radar is just, you're on the radar. And I don't know on what level, but everyone's on the radar. And so if you're a reporter, you're tapped and you're being spied on for sure. And if you're thinking about going over to the state hospital and undigging something, and you're not going to, and they have the ability to actually just not give you evidence that's in the record. They hide records, they destroy it, they don't make records. It's not like they make PowerPoint presentations of all this. They don't put into their records that you get what's actually going on at any level. So what you're getting and what you're reporting on and what you're seeing in the news is always a lie and a cover-up. You did not investigate yourself. You did not see the evidence yourself. And no outside entity did an investigation. That's the way it's happening in any state, federal, county agency. And I'm telling you that things are bullshit. And everything that you're finding is... you have to look to see if you can impeach the information. That's what you're supposed to be looking for. Is there something here that should have been done that wasn't done? For example, like if one report is saying something didn't happen, but there's some evidence of it happening, like security video. It's a security video that's really the top dog that can't be refuted. Security video and pictures. Why is it top dog? It's because nobody can make what happen on security video up. Staff members can write whatever they want, however, and say whatever they want, and they can put whatever they want in the report. A state police can put whatever they want in the report. It does not fucking matter because they can generate that. They engineer it and they fucking write it up for whatever purpose they want it to have. And that shit, when there's so many crimes reported every year at a place, and you find out that hardly none of them are being validated, that's how you know there's a cover-up, of every single one of these incidents. And it's not just me. And depending on how far it goes with the person, that's when you get into more high-end targeting of that particular person. It's just, they have power that keeps going. You're gonna never break through. So it can get to a point of it gets so bad where they want to kill you. A murder attempt happens, a drugging. Oh yeah, they will drug you in secret, and this will be secretive. I mean, they'll replace drugs. They'll give you some poison. They'll slip something in one of your. I can't say how frequently this happens, but yeah, they'll replace things. They'll go to that level of even putting some type of poison inside of you secretly, putting it in a needle. They have that level of power. Their doctors are secretly willing to commit a crime against somebody to cover something up. Their doctors, their nurses, they've already done it. And they're on this level of organization where they're each together. So they're not separate. This is why investigations will always fail. They're not acting independently from one another either. It's not like they're unwitting. They know what they're doing, and they've had training to do this. Years of training working together, and all that. Their unions are sly. They've got power. Okay, so surveillance is not just about discovering salacious information, but it can be done. It's also just simply about being able to control people. If government agents know what's happening, what a person is doing, then they can do whatever they want to that person, and they know exactly where to do it and how to do it. They know what the person's thinking, where they're going, what they're doing, where they're going to be, where they're going to be later. They're watching what they're thinking in their head, and that's how their agents are always right where they need to be to do whatever they want to do, or their weapon system can be used on a person in secret. Okay, there's also biological methods. There's poisonings, there's germings, there's gassing, things that are invisible happening. Then there's tampering, getting sometimes into a person's house. They're wanting to delete something off your computer that's important. They're wanting to fucking take something of yours or whatever. And I had that done to me before. I had paperwork. Buckets of paperwork stolen from me at the state hospital. And one of these letters was one of their own doctors. A great piece of evidence was one of their own doctors writing something that he had read from my mind, watching me in my room through one of these long-range imaging technologies, and listening to what I was saying and doing in my room. And he wrote it on a paper and gave it to me. And he wrote the word "you" in big writing. Dr. Newton. So, Dr. Newton was listening to me in my room when I got attacked with this technology. And I was saying, "You did this to me. You fucking did it. I never did anything wrong. It was always you." And it was true. And that's how it was. See, I did everything right. And it turned out the reason nothing ever happened was because there was no system in place to do anything right. You're reporting a crime in their control. It's not like in the domestic world. In the domestic world, they don't care who goes to jail. If it's you or if it's your husband or your children, they don't give a fuck. But inside the government, only you're going to jail. There is nobody else going to jail. No police, no state employees, no county employees, no attorneys for the government, no military, no nothing, no senators, no congressmen. There is nobody going to jail for anything they do. And it takes really special cases of one of them willing to flip against the other. You have to have a powerful backing. Like in Texas, they're going to prosecute Perry for some type of coercion of public figure or whatever. He basically threatened to take away funding to try to change what they were doing at one of the Democratic district attorneys or whatever. And he threatened to veto funding, right? And he did it, right? But the fact that anyway, that's very, very rare. That's a little different from what I'm talking about. And that happened because you have truly two sides against the other in that case. And one side, the Democratic side, happened to have some power to make it happen. But that was a case of the two sides against another. Sometimes there's cases of two sides working together, and all sides working together, and that's where the system fails. And so most of the system is like that. The whole system is like that. You can't count on anyone being there to help you. So you can't count on shit, and no one's got money to defend themselves. So that's why you're kind of swept under the rug. So criminal surveillance, criminal targeting, and then there's also methods of targeting that aren't written in the law. There's methods, systems that haven't ever been disclosed. They don't have to disclose them. They're not in PowerPoints. They're not in documents anywhere. There's also several layers of classification far above what some of the whistleblowers have had access to. People don't understand that the whistleblowers don't come forward on a lot of this because there's a high chance of failure. Coming out and trying to whistleblow, you're fucking failing. You're gonna fail. every time. Nothing's ever happened from whistleblowing in most cases, especially against the government surveillance. All the NSA whistleblowers have failed. If you notice, the government's continuing to go on like nothing is happening, no crimes have happened. The people who claim to be targeted individuals are the ones who are legit. Most of them dealing with levels of corruption in the system, and they've had murder attempts, torture, they've had directed energy, voice simulations, brain hacking. They've had all of the most sophisticated technologies, satellites, radar, and all that. So those guys a lot of them are legit, and people don't know. Today, we understand surveillance happening today, right? We still don't know all the methods because the fucking media won't cover it. We know it's there. We got the patents behind it. We got key whistleblowers like Robert Duncan. Okay, I'm tired of talking about it. The fucking media doesn't put together the whole picture, and they're trying to profit off this, right? They go to the government, and they only run what the government lets them run, even though the First Amendment says they can run whatever. And so there's a lot of profiting going off of corporate deals. You have people who previously were not into human rights or civil rights or nothing, and now they're all running articles about this because they're trying to profit off the biggest fucking scandal. And it ain't a scandal. It's really the biggest fucking thing they've had ever to work on. And they're making $300 million movie deals and book deals and other fucking shit. And that's the only thing, only reason they're doing it is because there's money in reporting this shit that the government's willing to let them report on in a friendly way. Most of it's been done in a friendly way. Some of it hasn't, but how come nothing's been done about it? We've heard about it. We've heard about pictures. They're taking pictures of our genitals from space. We've heard about them stealing our nude pictures because they can get anything they want from any account, any device. They take this and they jack off to it, and nobody's going in there trying to find out what the fuck they're doing. And we've heard about the serious... those are just the ones that Snowden was willing to put forth, those types of examples. And then there's people, thousands of us, who talk about being hit with directed energy. This comes from NSA and DOD satellites and CIA satellites. Okay? There's 24 HARP-type arrays on the ground that can hit people and spy on them and penetrate the walls of the fucking buildings and spy on them and see them and scan their bodies and see them naked and see through their clothes, okay? Guess what? Nobody's getting in trouble for that either. No one's even bringing it up. And there's people from the government saying it's happening too. And no one's doing anything about it. So the mass public is still being exposed to this. And we've reported this a long time ago, right? Everything that we've always said turns out to be true at some point. And at first, you think that the people reporting this are crazy. It's proven true at every stage later on. Like NSA surveillance, alright? There's criminal stuff happening. They're killing people with directed energy and poisons and other shit too. That's why surveillance is bad. Government needs to be kept separate from... You can't spy on people anymore. No more dominating people. We need a system in place that separates government from people so that people can't be repressed and controlled. And that's what's going on. And you got no power because you got no money as the public. You got no fucking money to defend yourself. You got no army. You got no signals intelligence. You don't have a way to even catch them in the act because they got all the fucking systems in their control and they won't use them for good. They don't use them for good. Get that through your fucking head, people. ObamasWeapon.com has more detail.